Hello and welcome to Sing Toronto Live. We are thrilled to be joining you, hopefully, if it all works, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. And today we have an exciting day with starting this new program called Raise Your Voice. And this is was designed for all you singers and performers out there to give you basically equip you with more information, more cool things on how you can continue to develop your voice and just continue that growth that we all love and want. And today I get this special privilege of inviting my really good friend Nicky McGrath. So she recently moved here to Toronto and has opened a voice studio here, and you'll hear from her accent that she may not originally be from the Toronto area. And she is just an amazing vocal pedagogue. She just finished her master's in vocal pedagogy. She's a CCM singing specialist and just a really good friend. And today we're going to learn some awesome tips about how we can continue to keep our voice nice and strong. Before we invite Nicky in, just give me a second and put in the comments where you're tuning in from. And I don't mean like, oh, my living room or my kitchen. I mean, where are you from geographically? What city, what town, what country? We want to engage with you, and we want to share all this wonderful information with you. But let's bring my good friend Nicky in to say hello and to learn some great stuff. Hey, Nicky, how are you doing?
Hi, Jordan. I'm great. I'm caffeinated, of course. How are you today?
I am continuing to be caffeinated. It's one of those mornings. I think I'm on number 3. So,
I won't tell if you won't.
but I'm really excited about today and excited about this program and bringing you in and to share some wonderful tips for us to continue to sing strong.
Fantastic. Me too. It's great to be here and connecting with the Sing community. I adore Sing, so this is a real treat for me.
Fantastic. Well, I'll let you get on with it.
Alrighty. Hi, folks. It's great to meet you. I'm Nicky, and I love singing. I love talking about singing and all the geeky goodness that can come with it too. So I'm going to share a bit about that with you today. So, our topic is something that you're probably familiar with, and you might even not realize that you're familiar with it. It's all about SOVTs. I wonder if that's a term you've heard of before. Or maybe it's a term you've heard and you don't really understand. Or maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you're here to learn some cool vocal exercises that are going to keep you vocally fit and healthy and continuing to flourish as a singer. Alrighty, so why do we talk about SOVTs? I will define them in a second, but let's talk about why they're so cool and why so many singers and singing teachers are totally obsessed with them. Well, SOVTs, they can help us to develop a really lovely and consistent core tone. So having consistency throughout the voice. It can help us to manage or disguise our registration events. So if you've ever had that little bit of a flip or an undesirable yodel happen in your singing, you want to extend your speech register up or disguise as we move into our upper register, SOVTs can be really, really good for that. They can also help with onsets. So the way that we might start a word or start a phrase, we might call that a simultaneous or balanced onset. That might be a story for another day. And they can also help with vocal unloading. So we do lots and lots of work as singers or professional voice users, and that can be a little bit tiring at times. And using an SOVT can be a great way to release some of that extra work. It can take away some of the unnecessary effort that we put into our singing and find a way to sing with greater ease. I think we'd all love a bit more ease as singers, right? Super cool. And we can use SOVTs for warming up and warming down, something that I'm really, really a true advocate for. So let's talk about what SOVTs are. It's an acronym and it stands for Semi-Occluded Vocal Tract. And we're referring to a series of different exercises that we can use. So semi-occluded vocal tract exercises is what we're really talking about. That's a really fancy way of saying partially closed vocal tract. Semi-occluded is partially closed. And the vocal tract goes from the larynx, where we phonate, where we make sound when we speak and sing, right to the end of it, which is our lips. So we're partially closing the lips. Still with me? Fantastic. So what happens when we do that? A whole lot of magic that's actually super scientific, but super easy to understand. All that's happening when we partially close the end of the vocal tract is we're increasing the back pressure that gets reflected from the lips back to the vocal folds. And I like to think of this as kind of like a hug for the voice with air. So we've got air coming up through the lungs to meet the vocal folds, and we've got an increase in back pressure of air coming back, reflected back to the vocal folds too. Kind of like the vocal folds are in the middle, in this little gap that I'm making with my hands. Yeah. So that's a little bit of the science. How do we do them? Well, the one that's super common that you've probably done countless times before if you're an active singer is called a lip bubble or a lip trill or horse lips, whatever you want to call it. Looks a little something like this, or perhaps, yeah. But we also have other options too. And the options give us different degrees of back pressure. So you could use something like an NG sound, like the end of the word sing. Sing, sing. You could use an M, like a hum. You could use a voiced fricative, something like v, v, z. All of those fun sounds. You could use, one of my favorites is a puffy-cheeked W. Nice and relaxed through the lips. And I invite you to do these with me as well if you're not already. You might like to do a rolled R. We talked about the lip bubble, the horse lips. This one, maybe particularly during COVID times, we want to be doing this in our own space without other people around. I sometimes like to cover my mouth, but so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to pop my tongue right out. This is your warning. We're blowing raspberries, my friends. It's also called a tongue bubble. Tongue right out. That can also help with tongue retention. Hot tip with that one. And then I'm going to grab some toys, some singer's toys. So many different variations of straws. Oh my goodness. Straws. Straw phonation, it's an SOVT. I have many straws. Now, if you've got just a normal, fairly thin diameter straw, you can just blow right into that. You want to make sure that your lips are creating a seal around the straw without adding intention. Or if you have a wider diameter straw, so like the width of it is a little wider, you might like to pop that into some water. And you may like to adjust the amount of water you use, like how deep the straw goes into the water. I have some fancy singing gadgets because I'm a professional singer and I love my SOVTs. This is my pocket box. And you can see those super fun bubbles. Really, really great to show if I'm being consistent in my vocal technique, my vocal production. It's also a dead giveaway if my onsets are glottal in an undesirable way. Sometimes we might use that for effect, but can also tell me if I'm having some registration issues through those inconsistencies and those fun bubbles. lots of different fun exercises that we can use with these different SOVT tools. Now, I encourage you as a singer to experiment and explore how these different SOVTs feel on your voice. What sensations are you noticing? How does it impact on your singing? And find the ones that are right for you. Different amounts of back pressure will give you different amounts of perhaps relief, or it might feel like it's too much resistance. So be really mindful about that, especially if you're doing straw into water. Try a little less water to start with. So how can we use them? Well, I mentioned that we use them for warm-ups, and absolutely, I keep my warm-ups really, really simple before I move into voice function exercises or voice exercises. I'll do things like a 5-note descending scale, da 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 dum, and you can use your SOVT like this. Simple as that. Go up and down the full voice as you exercise and warm up for your day. You can do things like the 1.5 octave scale. You can do arpeggios. If you're working registration, try little intervals and doing glides, something like a third. And exercise all the way through your voice, massaging through your passaggio and finding lots of joy and extending those intervals, opting for bigger intervals as you find greater ease in your singing, or if you're looking for an increased challenge. But then it doesn't stop there. We can use SOVTs when we're working our repertoire. So if you've got a passage in a song and it's like not feeling right, you can't get your tone to just free up, and maybe you're having some registration events, maybe things are feeling tight, or maybe you've been practicing for a long session, you've had a long rehearsal, and you just need a little bit of relief, my friend, go for that SOVT. Whatever works for you, choose the one that you're able to use in the moment and go for it. Work through the repertoire that way. Sing the whole phrase, sing the whole song. Whatever works for you is awesome. And then you want to be able to take the tool away and maintain that same sensation that you found through your SOVT exercise. A great way to support you in doing that is to then, once you've mastered singing the phrase consistently on your SOVT, to just do the start of each phrase on the SOVT. Start on the whatever it might be, and then move into the lyric. Open straight to your vowel and continue on with the lyric. Okay, so I wonder if you've got any questions. Feel free to share them in these channels, or you're welcome to reach out to me after this session as well. You can find me on my Facebook page, which is linked here thanks to the team at Sing, or you can comment on the Sing channels, and I'm sure I'll find my way to you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day of singing and staying vocally fit. Okay, we've got some questions. So, is there better SOV to use? Are they all good? Okay, they're all different. I think that's the important thing to know. And your experience of each SOVT is going to be different as well. I encourage you to experiment. If you have a voice teacher, work collaboratively with them and let them be your ears and eyes to help you work out the right one for you. Work your way through lots of different ones and see what impacts that has on your singing. I personally really love a straw and water. That's one that works really well for me. And I also really love a raspberry when I don't have my devices with me. So all of my students also have one of these straws. I send them out to them because we use them in lessons and it's really, really helpful. Another question that's come through is, where did I get my SOVT tools? Super good question. These straws I picked up from maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. They're a silicone reusable straw. I have a big stash of them because, again, I send them out to my students and I use them myself. This is a special new gadget that's been launched in the UK that was sent to me to try out. It's called the SOVT straw. If you're someone who's interested in that, I can hook you up with a link. Or if you've got some questions, let me know. I love that it's telescopic. We've got some different chambers in here, and they do lots of really cool science-based things that up your SOVT game. It's also really pretty. So I like that too. I then have, the list goes on. I then have these guys made by the team at Dr. Vox. This is the Dr. Vox apparatus and their Pocket Vox apparatus, and they're all about using a straw into water. So I got those online, and I take these traveling with me as well when I'm able to travel for singing. Are there specific parts of the range that SOV exercises particularly help with? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I think that I think it depends on the voice and what your opportunities for improvement are and what you're working on. If you're having any kind of issues arising in your passaggio, I mean, that's a game changer right there. Absolutely. But it can also help you to take some of the push or press out of the extremes of your range too. So it helps in different ways in different spots of the voice, depending on what you're working on in your voice. So great question. Another one is, how do you roll your R's or trill your lips? Oh yeah, good one. So those are probably the two that people can find the most challenging. How do I do that one? That's a good question. I'll need to think upon that one and maybe get back to you. As for the lip bubble, the lip trill, a couple of things that can help you with that one. You'll notice that I'm putting a finger or fingers on either side of the mouth. I'm gently pressing in and up, not a lot, just like a little pouch kind of thing. And you may, depending on what's happening for you, you may find it helpful to try to use less air. You could be just a lot of air rushing through there. So maybe you might want to back off a little bit with that. Okay. Well, my friends, it has been an absolute pleasure to share the time with you. That concludes our live stream today, all about SOVTs.
You know what? I have to say, I've done a whole bunch of SOVTs over the years. I'm really loving the Puffy Cheeks W.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Now I know you, and I know that you probably have at least one other SOVT device. Do you have the Dr. Vox the mask there?
Yes.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Oh. Ooh, hello, I am speaking. It's so great. I can sing into my mask.
You could actually just get a nice silicone funnel if you don't want to go for the full mask. But you know what? I use these kind of every day, all the time, and I love SOVTs for the voice. And I love how you broke it down for us today. I really appreciate your time, Nikki. This was just fantastic, and it's always great to hang out with you.
Oh, my pleasure, Jordan. Oh, and one more thing, friends. Before we go, if you haven't yet already, you may like to head over to www.singtoronto.com because the 2020 season is there. If you've enjoyed this workshop, there is so much more on that website. Check it out. It's a good time. You'll love it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Nikki. We really appreciate your time. This is fantastic. A great way for us to reach out to all of our singer friends and performers and give them something that they can be doing to continually just develop and strengthen their voice. This is just wonderful.
You're wonderful.
Thanks so much. And to everyone out there, have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy some SOVTs.
Woohoo! Happy singing!